Hi guys, you're on VM24.com and today we are going to disassemble Honor X8. First of all, we need to take out the card tray. Using a special tool, put it into the hole and take out the tray for 2 SIM cards. Then we need to heat the surface of the back cover up to 65-70 Celsius degree or 158 degree Fahrenheit. And for this we use a heating mat. You can use a hair dryer. We put our phone on the heating mat and as you can see the temperature goes up to what we want. And after 5 or 7 minutes we can start to open the cover. For this we use a thin plastic film. We put the film in the gap between the middle cover and the back cover and gently move along detaching the cover. There is not much under the cover, but we still have to be careful. And we need to pay attention to the fact the back cover in the camera's cover area is glued around. Finally, we can open the back cover. There is nothing but the gasket on the back cover. Then we need to unscrew the screws at the top. For this we use a Phillips H3O 1.5mm screwdriver. The screws are unfortunately not magnetizing well and often get stuck in the covers, so we need a little patience. After, we have to detach the camera's cover. It is glued, and under the cover we have more screws to unscrew in order to detach the cover at the top, which hides the motherboard. We can also use a plastic film or a thin, non-metal tool to do this. Carefully lift the cover and put it aside. Next, we unscrew the screws using a Phillips H3O screwdriver, and these screws are also badly magnetized and some of the screws are different. Pay attention to this, don't mix them up when reassembling. And we can move on to detaching the large cover hiding the motherboard. We also use a plastic film or can use a thin non-metallic tool. We lift it by the edges and detach it. Next we disconnect the battery connector with a non-metal tool. And after that we can go to the bottom to remove the screws. We use a Phillips H3O 1.5mm screwdriver. Some screws might get stuck in the cover, but that is ok. We can use tweezers to take them out. And we detach the cover with a speaker. As we can see, on the inside there is a speaker. Then we disconnect the 2 connectors of the 2 coaxial cables and release the cables from the clamps on the subboard. And we disconnect the interboard cable connector. Next, we need to unscrew one screw holding the subboard in place. We use the same screwdriver. And finally, we detach the subboard. Gently pry it off and take it out. The subboard is slightly recessed in the display frame. On the subboard we have the headphone jack socket, microphone and the charging port. And on the back side we have a hole for the microphone. Okay, we move on to detaching the cameras. We start with the front camera. We pick it up and gently take it out. Then we can detach the 3 rear cameras. and one of the camera's body is on the outside, but the connector is on the inside. So we can detach that camera after we remove the motherboard. Now we can disconnect the connectors of the two coaxial cables. We disconnect the interboard cable connector, the display connector, and we have the fingerprint sensor connector left. After that, we need to unscrew one screw that holds the motherboard in place. We have the same Phillips 1.5mm or #3/0 screwdriver. And we can detach the circuit board. Gently pry around the edges, check the connectors, hooks, clips, that nothing is holding, and remove the motherboard. Finally, we take the motherboard out and turn it over. And we need to disconnect the connector and remove the remaining camera. All we have to do now is to detach the battery, and we have to unwrap the 3 tabs numbered 1, 2, 3, and according to the description, we have to pull the brown tab number 3 upwards. The battery is firmly glued to the inner transparent layer that protects the cables under the battery. We hold the display frame on the both sides with the one hand and pull the tab up with the other. Don't pull excessively and continuously. It may transfer unnecessary force to the display frame, which may cause damage. And after several attempts, we managed to remove the battery. And as you can see, the battery also is glued to the back side of the inner transparent layer. And we detach the battery. That is the end of this disassembly. Thank you for watching and see you around. Okay guys, now we're done. Thank you for watching. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel, read our articles on our website. Take care of yourself, and until next time.